Hey, hey!
Hello!
If you're joining us for the first time, hi, I'm Em,
And I'm Tima. Welcome to Bed Buds.
where we fall down that internet and pop culture rabbit hole, go on a couple of nerdy deep dives and obsessions along the way, and cover the wildest stories from our friends and the internet.
Mm-hmm. I'm like,
uh,
I'm just now noticing this like bald spot on my eyebrow.
oh
Do you see
no.
that? That's
Yeah. Is that
weird.
is that new? Or has it
No,
always
I
been
think
there?
it's always been there, but sometimes it's more prominent.
Ah,
Like it's like the way my hair sits,
for sure.
if that makes
I
sense.
think that's normal. I think I've got
Yeah.
one too, and I'm just kind of like, just try to cover her up. We don't need to see that. A little
Yeah,
naked
I
spot. It's not
I feel
appropriate.
that. Public
Yeah, it's
nudity
just
is a
you
no.
just gotta comb them in a certain way. Well, it is officially spring, and I know this for a couple of reasons. One, because it's beautiful outside. Here in LA, we're getting lovely 60, 70-degree weather, a
Hmm.
couple of spring showers. And I also know that it's spring because I can't breathe.
Like Emily is my calendar. Her
No,
allergy
literally.
reactions are my calendar.
It's like in Mean Girls when she's like, my boobs can tell the weather. I can tell when there's like a 60% chance that it's already raining. That's me.
Mhm.
I'm like, it's spring if anyone wanted to know because I'm dying. I'm like actively dying. Yeah, so apologies for any sniffles that you hear in this audio. I will try to cut them out.
People need a reminder of
That it's
what
allergy
your
season.
friends have to suffer through.
Dude, it's so bad. Yesterday, I went to brunch with my dance
Hmm.
team, which was a lot of fun.
Hmm.
But halfway through the brunch, my allergies got so bad, and my allergy attack was just. I think everyone in this restaurant thought I was like extremely sick, and I was getting side eyes left and right because I was just sneezing and sniffling the whole time. Like, how's everybody doing? Like, fully just mouth breathing. It was really bad. But we've taken one Claritin and one Zyrtec, despite my doctor's
Yeah.
recommendations. So
Did they not tell you to do that?
I
The
think you're only
doctor?
supposed to take one. Each one is like a 24-hour pill, but you know,
Oh. Sometimes you need a little cocktail. It's okay.
yeah, just that's not advice. That's not
Well,
medical advice. Don't do that, please.
also, you're taking pills. Why are you?
I don't know. Okay, I'm just trying to be cool. Don't judge me. I'm
Mm,
just trying to be
mm,
one of the cool kids.
mm.
All right. Well, we have some fun stories for y'all today. If
Mm.
I don't like sniffle ruin all of them, um,
I'll
do
just
you
mute
wanna?
you the whole time.
That's so mean,
I'm just kidding.
but valid. Honestly, I sound terrible.
No, you don't. You sound fine.
Thanks.
Okay, that's enough.
Oh, okay. Well, do you want to get started with the
Yeah.
first story?
Mm-hmm.
All
I have a
right.
fun one. Okay,
Okay.
so this one is from r/slash am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for refusing to wear a bra when my roomie's boyfriend stays over? I don't wear a bra at home. I go to college, then library, and then work, then gym. I am out at 7 a.m. and back at 10 p.m. Usually, I take a quick shower when I get home, then make a snack and just relax for an hour before bedtime. On weekends, I barely leave the apartment because of occasional outing with friends or colleagues. My roommate and I are very close, but now she has been biting my head off about not wearing a bra at home. I was so confused. Then she explained that it was about her boyfriend. I laughed in her face and told her to put a bra on his eyes instead. She got very upset, but I told her that I wasn't interested in her boyfriend, not in the slightest. She got offended and said that he wasn't interested in me either, so I said, then why are we arguing? It's only an issue if we were interested in each other. Tell him next time he sees me braless, he can pretend that I'm a wall. According to her, it wasn't about interest but being invasive, and he felt uncomfortable. Would you think that it was fine if he showed his D? I call. What? I called her stupid. um, I called her stupid because I was in my home. I wouldn't go braless in his home, and if he chose to go naked in his home, the only right I have is to get the hell out of there. She called me the asshole. Am I?
Huh. I don't think that you are the asshole. I think that you have the right to go braless in your home. Like, as long as you're wearing clothes, like, over top. I do think your comparison there at the end was a little bit weird because growing braless under a shirt isn't the same as being fully nude. So like if I went to someone's home and they were just like, "Hey, I'm naked." Like I would, I think, have the right to be like, "Hey, cool if you want to be nude on your own time, but you invited me over, so please put pants on." Like,
Yeah.
like that would be weird. Unless we're like both,
That would be weird.
nudists, like nudist friends, and then, that's different. But like boundaries in group settings are
vibe,
important.
right?
Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
So weird.
Okay. I think it's just really strange that it's her roommate's boyfriend who's making these comments. Like, you don't have to be there. This is
Right.
her home. This is her space. You don't
Yeah.
have to be there. And she didn't invite you here. Like, you're not her guest either. So she doesn't have to dress a certain way for you
Yeah.
to feel welcome or comfortable.
Yeah, that is interesting that it's like him specifically saying that. When you first started reading this, I kind of paused for a second because I think I've read a very similar story like in the past, just like scrolling through Reddit. But I think in that particular one, I guess this is a fairly, common occurrence. But I think in the other story of this that I read, it was the roommate specifically having a problem with it, like the roommate themselves being like, "Don't do that. My boyfriend's going to like be tempted by you." So it's interesting that the boyfriend said that he was uncomfortable. I wonder, don't want to speculate too much here, but I do wonder, like, is he uncomfortable because he's like, body parts make me uncomfortable? Or is he like uncomfortable because he can't stop himself from looking?
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking too. It's because you're attracted to that on someone else who's not your girlfriend, and you're feeling guilty about that, so you're now trying to shift the blame on her.
Right.
Instead of, like, averting your eyes and just...
Yeah, like, just mind your own business. She has boobs. I think there are definitely, like, I feel like a lot of men will feel that attraction and instinctually go to blaming the woman instead of blaming themselves. I mean, it's why we have all of these like dress code policies in school, which I can understand having like a dress code to an extent. Like, yeah, don't be naked at school. Like, maybe don't wear a swimsuit at school or like just underwear. But the whole like, you can't show your shoulders, or like your skirt has to be at least a certain length because the boys won't be able to study. It's like, maybe the boys should just learn how to study. It has nothing to do with my shoulders. Recently, I was talking to somebody I know in like the local dance community. I dance like salsa and bachata, so it's a partner dance. And there are like, definitely moves that are, require you to get close to each other, but there's like spoken and unspoken rules on the dance floor of like how close you can get and like etiquette and stuff like that. And, there's understandings about that stuff. But I was at a party for the folks in the dance community, and someone was talking about how on a dance team that he's on, I think it was a salsa team, his partner that he was with kept his words were that she kept touching her nipples to his arm. And we were like, wait, what? Like, what do you mean? And he was like, yeah, there's this move where I spin her and then I have to like put my arm here and then she has to come up through like the hole that my arm makes, basically, right? Okay. And every time she does that, she comes up and her nipples touch my arm. And it makes me really uncomfortable. And we were like, but where else are they going to go? Like your arm, the hole created by your arm is like only so big, and like she can't, like, what is she going to do with them? Like, we were like, wait, she's wearing clothes, right? And he was like, yeah, but like her nipples are touching my arm. And he is like, he was like, and I had to have a serious talk with her about that because I didn't
What?
think that it was appropriate. We were like, you talked to her? And he was like, yeah, I had to talk to her about like, when you come up, can you not arch your back so much because your nipples are touching my arm? And I was just like, why are you thinking about like, where are they gonna, literally, where are they gonna go? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're, but it was like, he was very uncomfortable. He was very uncomfortable about this situation, like the fact that this girl's like body parts were, around him to this extent, but it's also like there are things that people can't control, and like that is a you problem, I think.
Yeah, and also this is a contact dance.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
it was so weird.
I don't even. That makes me really just think about. Makes me really think about how sexualized women's bodies are.
Yeah,
Because if like a male was doing that,
yeah,
right? His like back was super arched and his nipples were touching his arm, there would have been no issue there. It's really just because she was a woman.
Yeah, and I think about like, again, what are you gonna do with them? Like, I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, my nipples have touched a lot of people. Like, every time I hug someone, I'm like, like, can you imagine if I hugged you and then you were like, can you make sure that your nipples don't touch me? I'm like, oh, sorry. My bad. I'll just take them off real quick.
What are you supposed to do?
Right? But yeah, this story is bananas, and I feel no, I think this guy should just like mind his own business. But also to OP, you can't just be naked and have people over.
Yeah.
There's like consent issues there.
Yes.
Not that that's what you're doing right now, but just that example was really weird.
Absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
especially if you live with a roommate.
Yeah, no. No, you can't do that. Like, unless you're both like cool with it, yeah, and you're both just walking around naked. But anyway, what did the comments say? Was everyone pretty much like on the same page?
Yeah. They were just like, he needs to get over it.
Yeah, okay.
You know, like, this is your home. You get to do whatever you want in your own home.
That's
Well,
good. Right, not
limits.
naked.
Limits. Yeah, not naked.
Not in the kitchen. Yeah, you know.
Okay,
It's like,
okay, I just want to say, I think it's also weird that she compared boobs to, like,
yeah.
lower area. Like, wouldn't the equivalent of that...
You can say it.
I don't know why. After the whole D,
Yeah.
reading D on that post, like, I don't even
Yeah.
want to say the word now.
It literally just said like his D.
Like DEE.
Oh no, his D. But yeah, I agree. That is like a weird comparison to make. I think
Yeah.
boobs are like so sexualized that like I can see why that comparison would be made, but they're not the same. And even in, films, in films, in film and television, like we see a lot of boobs, and they're definitely sexualized, but like we see a lot of boobs and butts, but we still like almost never see the DEE. So yeah, it's definitely a little bit different.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy sucks, and so does the roommate. Final verdict. Bonk. Next.
I'm glad we agree here.
Yeah.
Let's move on to your story.
All right. Okay. So this one is also coming from Am I the Asshole? And it's called Am I the Asshole for Purposefully Acting, quote, inappropriate with my boyfriend in front of children? So it says, we're both men. My family was not happy when I came out, but they've mostly stopped voicing their opinions openly. I know they still talk about it in private, but at least they don't say anything to our faces. It took some time for them to warm up to my boyfriend, but now they actively include him in conversations. And my 87-year-old grandma called him, quote, a very lovely young man, while pinching his cheek, which is a very high form of approval from her. The one thing they still don't like us to do in front of them is when we act like a couple. They actually try to keep us separate most of the time to not give us the chance to do something as scandalous as hold hands or kiss. This afternoon, we were invited to one of my cousin's birthdays. At some point, my boyfriend and I were alone in the kitchen, and I, thinking he looked very cute and kissable in that moment, committed the ultimate sin. I called him something along the lines of my pretty doll and gave him a kiss. Of course, one of my cousins had to enter the kitchen at that exact moment, and because she's a 5-year-old who probably didn't know that we were a couple and has never seen us be affectionate, ran off to excitedly tell the other kids what she saw, which was met with the typical childish reactions of disgust mixed with curiosity. My favorite was actually my nephew asking me if that means my boyfriend is my wife now. The adults didn't find that as funny, though, and I had to listen to my mother berate me for almost 30 minutes. When she finally let me go, my boyfriend asked if we could leave. I told him we'd stay for dinner and leave immediately after. Now comes the part where I might be, and probably am, the asshole. I made a point of holding my boyfriend's hand while we walked back to the table and asked one of my nieces if she'd switch seats so my boyfriend and I could sit next to each other. During dinner, I kept asking my boyfriend to hand me things on the table while addressing him by nicknames and giving him a peck on the cheek here and there. To say the mood was awkward would be an understatement. The adults mostly ignored us and just glared at us every few seconds, while the younger kids kept giggling every time I called my boyfriend darling or sweetheart. My boyfriend was uncomfortable and barely looked up from his plate. We left immediately after dinner was finished. My boyfriend was very quiet on our way home, and when we got home, he broke down crying. I comforted him as best as I could, but I know it's my fault that he's upset as well. Later this evening, my mother also sent me a long message telling me that, quote, our behavior was immature and inappropriate, and that until we'd stop forcing our choices on everyone, we wouldn't be welcome at another family gathering.
Aw.
Yeah.
No, that's so... This is how, like, we can tell that hate is something that's learned and not innate, because the kids are just doing what kids would do. Like, even if this was a heterosexual relationship, that's what kids would do.
Yeah.
You know? Like, they're just, like, giggling and happy and saying, like, ew, gross. It's just very cutesy and stuff. And then you see the adults getting uncomfortable because they're both men.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Like, the kids don't care. They're just treating it as kids, like they would act exactly the same if it was a man and a woman or two women or whatever. Like, I think the kids would take it the same way. I think it's adorable, the little kid saying, is he your wife now? It's
I know.
They just don't have, like,
cute.
the words. Yeah.
Yeah, like, they don't know yet. And that's fine. It's just, like, it makes me really sad. I don't even blame... This might be a controversial thing, but I don't blame older people for holding their, like, racist, sexist, homophobic thoughts, views, because they were raised in a completely different time, and, like, we can't even relate to them, and we can't change their minds, unfortunately. It's just how it is.
It was taught to them.
It was taught to them, and they've lived under that kind of ideology for their whole lives. So it's very hard to walk away from that when they're much older.
And I think, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you say older people, you mean, like, older, like our elders,
I mean,
right? Yeah.
Yes, I mean, like, the grandma kind of age, not, like, 40.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think his like parents, like middle-aged folks, like definitely have the tools. Like, they know how to use the internet. They watch the news. Like, they have the same resources that, like, all of us have and should know better. That's really really sad. I want to read a comment. I think most of the comments were on the side of, you know, you're not the asshole for this, but there were a couple comments like this one where someone says, all that OP has done is made it even harder for himself and his boyfriend to be accepted by his homophobic relatives. And there were a couple comments like that. And I think that this other commenter addresses this in a really great way. They say, his behavior did not make it harder for him to be accepted by homophobic relatives. It made it harder for them to ignore that he was gay. There is no right way to be gay in front of homophobic people that magically makes them okay with us. The only thing that they will grudgingly accept is behavior that allows them to pretend we aren't gay. Gay people being visibly queer in front of homophobes is not an antagonistic action, and it doesn't hurt our chances of being accepted. It just makes it harder for them to ignore the fact of our existence.
Yeah.
So
No, I couldn't have put it better.
Yeah.
That's so true. Why does this couple specifically have to lessen their affection in front of other people, just to make other people more comfortable? I'm wondering if this family in particular would have been the same with a heterosexual couple doing that kind of stuff, you know?
They wouldn't have. And Opie actually comments a couple times and basically says like that, you know, his cousins and siblings and other family members like have brought their straight partners around, and you know, there's no issue with public displays of affection, because you know, there are some families who just like wouldn't be comfortable with anyone kissing anyone at the dinner table, but in this particular family, they're fine with it from everyone except OP and his boyfriend. Yeah, it's I think this commenter like did say it really well. The family is accepting, quote unquote, accepting or tolerant of OP and OP's partner, as long as they can kind of pretend that, oh, like that's just his little friend, like he's just bringing his little friend around. But the second that they're aware,
accepting.
Exactly,
that's not accepting at all.
Yeah,
like tolerance isn't accepting.
Yeah, they're just like wanting to kind of like accept their small version of reality and then push everything else that makes them uncomfortable out of their minds.
Yeah, like that's so unfortunate. I don't even know what kind of solution there is here, because it's not on this couple to fix everything.
No.
It's not their fault. The people around them have to love them enough to change their behavior, and make them feel more welcome.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, now though, I do want to slightly switch gears and tell you that I actually found this post on r/Am I the Devil, which is where people repost Am I the Asshole posts that are like the person is really extremely like the worst asshole imaginable. And so when I found it on Am I the Devil, I was like, what? And I read it, and people basically were like, definitely the family are assholes, absolutely. Like, you're not an asshole for the particular scenario that you're asking, which is, am I the asshole for, quote, being inappropriate in front of the children? No, not the asshole for that. But people were saying you are the asshole/devil for making your boyfriend uncomfortable and using your boyfriend like as a pawn to make your family, like to get back at your family. I'll just read this part again from the original post. Quote, to say the mood was awkward would be an understatement. The adults mostly ignored us and glared at us every few seconds while the younger kids kept giggling. My boyfriend was uncomfortable and barely looked up from his plate. We left immediately after dinner was finished. My boyfriend was very quiet on our way home, and when we got home, he broke down crying. So folks are basically calling on this fact that, you know, like he's here trying to prove a point to his family, which like he has absolutely every right to do, but kind of at his boyfriend's expense, who it sounds like wasn't comfortable being used in that way.
Okay, I see where they're coming from, and I did get like a gist of that too.
Yeah.
When you were reading the story. Do you feel like he used him as a pawn in that moment?
I kind of do. I did get that impression as well. It's hard because it's like you can be really right in one way and really wrong in another.
Right.
And so that's the thing where it's like I did want to lead with the fact that like I don't think OP is wrong for making his family literally face the fact that like, hey guys, I'm gay. Like you have to deal with it and actually accept me. But I do think it's not right the way that it sounds like he treated his boyfriend in this scenario. Folks talked about in the comments the fact that his partner might have, quote, bad memories or even trauma associated with familial rejection. Like this could be bringing things up for him. It's awkward enough to meet your partner's parents and to be around your partner's family. And I can only imagine how that would have made him feel. So one person comments and says, it utterly broke my heart to read that the boyfriend had broken down crying. I've been in that position where somebody you love uses you as a pawn to one-up people or get back at them, and it is awful. I really hope that the boyfriend is okay. And OP responds and says, he's fine. And the commenter responds again and says, you seem very dismissive about what you put him through. And OP says, because he's not a child who needs to be coddled constantly, he's fine.
Okay. You are the
asshole. somebody
Absolutely.
somebody else says like the same kind of thing, and OP says, well, I also comforted him while he was crying. The person says, which you caused. You're basically acting like somebody who broke something, glued it together, and then wants praise for fixing what they broke. And then OP says, it's not like I had to stay with him the whole time. I could have done something else, but I chose to let him cry on me until he got tired. Yeah.
I don't know how to respond to that, honestly, because it's just so bad. It's just that bad. If someone talked about me like that, like if I was having a very vulnerable moment, I was sad over something that they put me through, and I was crying, and then later I find out that they're talking about me like this and just completely dismissing. That's like so narcissistic.
It really is.
You just can't see what you did wrong, and you don't care about your partner's feelings at all. You were just there to save face when they were crying. That's the only reason you were there. So you could say, oh yeah, I let him cry on my shoulder.
Yeah, that's like honestly one of the worst things that I've read on this website. It is like, well, I let him cry on me. I could have done something else, but I let him cry.
No, you couldn't do anything else.
No.
What are you going to do? Like make yourself a sandwich? Like,
yeah.
What?
So weird. Yeah, it's a mess. I think this post was just really interesting to me because there's so many layers to it. Well, I let him cry on me. I could have done something else, but I let him cry.
You couldn't do anything else.
No.
What are you going to do? Like make yourself a sandwich? Like,
yeah.
What?
So weird. Yeah, it's a mess. I think this post was just really interesting to me because there's so many layers to it, and it really does show, like, yeah, you can be really right for some things and really wrong for others. Like, we really do contain multitudes.
We really do. Yeah, the fact that it could happen in the same situation where in one way you're in the right completely and in the other way you're just hurting someone else in the process.
Yeah, it's wild. I think... like final verdict is I feel really awful for OP and anyone in OP's position whose family is treating them this way. That's like awful, point blank. I also feel freaking terrible for OP's boyfriend, who is not only dealing with the homophobia, with probably other people in his life who've done similar things to him, and then having to deal with that rejection from his boyfriend's family and his own boyfriend just fully being an asshole at the same time and not giving a shit about him. Yeah.
Oh my god. He's a real victim here.
Yeah. It's a real bummer.
It's really sad. Yeah.
Well, next one.
Why in that accent?
Listen, I avoided my British accent on this podcast for like a couple months, but it's here. It's here.
So that's
it's
what we're
strong.
Doing now?
That's what I'm doing now. You can choose to join me if you'd like. Let the world see the real you.
I don't know if the world's ready for that.
No, maybe
Respectfully.
not. Okay, wait. Complete tangent. But since we sometimes talk about our obsessions here, I know we don't like have any prepared for today, but a baby obsession that I have is British people doing British accents.
What?
Yes. Okay. So I've been just obsessed with hearing British people do British accents because I do this British accent all the time, like, hello. But I'm always like Is that weird? Is that weird to do? Like, is that rude to British people? Like, is that cool? I don't do any other accents, like just a bad British accent. But I've always been like, is that, should we change that? But like all of our friends, like literally all of our friends do this. Like we're always just like, hello, how are you?
Yeah.
And
It's so
lately,
natural.
It is so natural. It's so funny. I don't know why. But lately I've been like watching these TikToks and YouTube videos, and I've noticed these British people also doing British accents. And it made me feel so validated. Like they also think it's funny to do like an over the top ridiculous British accent. So like do you know the Welsh twins on YouTube? So yeah, one of them does skincare, one of them does makeup, and they're just like these really awesome British twins. But they have a British accent, which is like a normal accent. It's not like the really over exaggerated royal pronunciation of like, hello, darling, you know? And I noticed in a video that they did together that they keep breaking into this like really exaggerated royal pronunciation, fancy British accent. So they'll be talking and then they're like, do you want to put on some makeup? Makeup? Oh, she's gonna put on some makeup, darling. And then they'll like go back to their normal accent. And I'm like, yes! Like it's not just us. Like they also think that it's hilarious. And I've seen like so many British people do this on TikTok and
you know
YouTube.
what? Okay, you know what that reminds me of though? It's kind of the same with the American accent.
Yeah.
Because we have like our American accent, but then we also mock like the Southern accent.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's
and they're
true.
both American accents.
Yeah.
Like even in England, there's different varieties of the British accent depending on where you're from. So I get it. That they would mock like the stereotypical British accent. Yeah.
And I find it funny that they're specifically also mocking like that posh Queen's accent.
Yeah.
And I find it funny that they're specifically also mocking like that posh Queen's accent. I guess it's also just like fun to mock royalty and the extremely rich. But yeah, I just thought that was really funny. So I don't feel bad anymore about my like really ridiculous British accent that I sometimes slip into. But yeah,
sometimes you slip into it.
I do. No, like, I literally can't control it. It's so bad. And like with specific people too, like I don't do it at work or anything, although there have been times when I've like hopped into a Zoom call and I was like, hello, and then I'm like, sorry, technical difficulties. What, did anyone hear that? Like but there's specific people like our friend Shekinah. Half of every conversation we have is both of us just going back and forth being like, you're right, dear, how's everything going? Like it's so bad.
I'm dead.
Not you acting like you don't do this too. That's my favorite part of this. That's my favorite part of this is you just being like, I'm dead. Couldn't be me.
Oh my god, relax. We both know I do this. But my English accent is just not it's not anything. There's no accent that compares to my English accent. It's just so bad.
That's the point. Like, they're all just awful. These are not good accents. These are not authentic. Like, we're not winning any Oscars with these.
No, okay, what I'm saying, though, is that my British accent doesn't even sound like a British accent. Like, sometimes it sounds like an Indian accent, and I don't really... Yeah. Very confusing, even for me. Like, it comes out of my mouth, and I'm like, oh, that was weird.
Whatever comes out.
That's what you're gonna get today.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, should we do our next story entirely in a British accent?
Should we? Okay, well, my
No.
British accent.
The answer is no.
Oh, you don't want me to do it? I was actually gonna do it. Should I do it? No, I can't.
No, I'm gonna say no to that. Although let us know, y'all listening, if you would like us to do a full episode in a bad British accent.
And in my case, a bad British Indian accent.
Yeah, whatever comes out.
Okay, so this next one is from r/petty revenge.
Ooh, I love that subreddit.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one.
It's really
okay.
good.
F with my job and I'll F with your marriage. I already know I'm the asshole for this, but this is what happened. My manager is an Indian woman and was constantly making passive-aggressive comments about my ethnicity, in parentheses, Afghan. I've worked at Subway for around 6 months, and neither did I or any of my coworkers get along with her. She was the biggest micromanager I've ever met, and would make up random rules, then yell at us in front of the customers if we made a mistake. I know she made up these rules because when I would follow them, the owner of the store would question what I was doing and tell me I'm not supposed to do that. She would also make racist remarks about me and my coworkers. My friend was explaining how she had to slaughter a goat for her religion. Then she laughed in her face and said, "That's disgusting." And on my first day, I told her I was from Afghanistan. She said, "You're a fake Afghan. You look Chinese." A couple months fast forwarded, and I had to work in the morning with just her. I was at the front taking care of orders when there was a huge rush of people. She was in the back eating food when she wasn't even on break. So as I'm taking care of all of these orders, I like to frequently change my gloves after handling pork to accommodate any religious beliefs. These gloves would pile up, and yeah, there were some crumbs on the table. However, when the rush was done, she then decided to come out and start scolding me for making a mess. I explained to her that there was a rush, and I didn't have time to start cleaning in the middle of orders. She still insisted that I could have taken out the trash and wiped the counters when there was a line of people waiting. Then started pointing out everything I did wrong, following with a, "You're like a baby, you don't know how to do anything." I was so done with her, so I left right then and there. I told my friend what happened, who also worked with me, and we decided to make a fake Instagram account to catfish her husband. Yes, I know this was wrong, but we were bored, petty teenagers. His Instagram was pretty easy to find, so we messaged him. He instantly responded back and kept flirting with us, wanting to meet up the next day. We sent the screenshot to our manager, but she blocked us, so I guess she wanted to stay Delulu.
Okay, there's like so many layers to this story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. God, I don't know how to feel about this. I guess this isn't Am I the Asshole, so we don't have to say whether or not it's right or wrong for them to catfish her husband.
But
like,
if we were asking...
If we were asking, you're going to make this hard. No, I don't think that's correct to do. Oh. But also, I feel like when the person's a racist, I feel like can be exceptions made in what is right or wrong. Like, I feel like that's where the morality or the ethical questions start to kind of go away. Yeah, like, it's not ideal. Like, that's not the ideal thing to do to your boss, but also your boss is ridiculous and racist and terrible. And you mentioned a detail at the very end there that really kind of was like, my jaw actually dropped when you said, yeah, it wasn't the right thing to do, but we were just petty teenagers. I thought that these folks were like all adults here. That's actually ridiculous.
They were just teenagers.
Yeah.
And this manager was just saying terrible things, like saying she was a fake Afghan because she looked Chinese.
That is so ridiculous.
That? It's so bad. And like, honestly, I don't see much wrong with this. I'm sorry, but this is very much something that I would have done when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Not now. Like, now, I mean, well... But yeah, I don't fault them. I think it's pretty funny, and like, people like that don't really deserve good things. Also, they didn't force the husband to
no. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's ridiculous. Like,
in fact, I think they were doing her a favor. Okay.
Honestly, heroes.
Heroes.
Give them the key to the city. Yeah. No, I think that's wild. I mean, it just shows if you're gonna be a racist piece of shit, then you might not attract the best people in your life. And not saying that it's your fault that your husband wants to cheat on you, but just saying, bad begets bad. So
yes,
dig in your own grave here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I feel so bad for these kids. First of all, like, I just want to say that, like, that is ridiculous that they are dealing with that. And like, I mean, so yeah, is catfishing your boss like a good appropriate thing to do in any situation? No, like point blank, like that's not like the real correct thing to do here would be to get HR involved and all that stuff. In a situation where you have HR, I don't know if this like small restaurant has that. And so it's more, I think, to me, like, it's unfortunate that the only way for them to like feel like they can change anything or like get a small amount of their power back is to do this, because there might not be systems in place that would help them, or I don't know where they live, but like maybe wherever they work, it's just going to be like this. It's like people are just going to be shitty to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like maybe you don't have systems in place to help you.
Yeah, so that would make sense if it was like a small family-owned restaurant or something like that. This is Subway though.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Is there not HR? I mean,
I'm sure there is HR for Subway, but okay, even if there was, even if they don't care, they probably don't
care.
And also these are teenagers, so it's going to be taken less seriously. I don't know. I feel like what they did was justified. It's not like they did anything physically in person. Yeah. I think it was pretty justified for someone like that.
Yeah. That's unfortunate for that she's even like that and that they had to deal with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I think I'm next. All right. I've got a good one.
Okay.
This is called, Am I the Asshole for Rejecting the Worst Name Ever for Our Offspring? So my husband, 38 male, and I, 36 female, are expecting our first child, a bouncing baby girl due in a few months. We were both over the moon when we found out the gender, but now things have gotten complicated, to say the least. See, when we were first talking about names, the boy name was immediately decided. Stuart Jr., after my husband. No problem there. It's a classic name and carries family meaning. But for a girl, things got murky. I don't know if I can do this with a straight face. My husband suggested... My husband suggested...
Oh, this is bad.
My husband suggested Stuarta.
Oh.
No, you're not having a stroke. Apparently his logic is that since Stuart ends in a T, we can just add an A to make it feminine. I tried explaining why that doesn't quite work and how it sounds more like a furniture brand than a human name, how she'd be endlessly correcting people and explaining its origin. He's adamant, though, and says it honors him while giving our daughter a unique name. I've suggested alternatives, feminine names that maybe share a similar sound or meaning to Stuart, names he's mentioned liking in the past, even just going back to the drawing board entirely, but he's fixated on Stuarta. Now, I love my husband dearly, and I understand wanting to honor family, but I can't imagine subjecting our daughter to a lifetime of awkward stares and endless questions about her unusual name. I also worry about potential bullying and the impact it could have on her self-esteem. So, Reddit, am I the jerk for refusing to budge on Stuarta? Is there any compromise I haven't considered? Help a soon-to-be mama out.
Stuarta?
It was so hard to read. I've only read it in my head until now, and just the thought of making that sound with my lips was a lot.
I can't believe this is a real post.
Stuarta.
Okay.
Yeah, that's rough.
First of all, what kind of clicked to me about this was a not so funny side to it. Because why are we honoring him?
Yeah, agree.
Regardless of the gender. Like, why are we honoring your husband when you're the one who's getting pregnant, carrying that thing for 9 months, and giving birth to it?
Not that thing. Yeah, I agree.
I'm sorry, but, like, when it comes to, like, naming your child, I think the person who gives birth should have priority over that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think like they both. I think it's definitely a mutual decision. I think like they can both decide, but I don't think one should have priority over the other, and especially not like necessarily default the man. Like, oh, it's gonna be named after me because I'm the don. It's my honor, my family. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that's
Like
the thing
that's
that's like really weird here. Like,
yeah.
you would normally you would want to come to a decision where you're both happy with the name, right? And you're saying that there shouldn't be a priority on either person. Me personally, I think the priority should be given to the woman to name that child, but at the same time, like, it's better to do it mutually.
Yeah.
So you both like the name that you're choosing for your child.
Yeah.
But automatically just giving it to the man? I'm sorry.
That's pretty wild.
That's
like, and
just,
name, like, honestly, naming your child after you, I'm just gonna be real, like, that's weird to me. Like, I don't get that. Like, I feel like you're, like, in all circumstances, naming it after the husband, the wife, like, I feel like you are putting a lot of pressure on this child to be a mini you instead of, like, giving them a personality. I can understand it more if you were, like, Stuart the Fifth, and it's just a long line, and there's, like, really family history there, and you really want your baby to be Stuart the Sixth. Like, I can get that. But wait for a boy and name him Stuart the Sixth. Like, there's no reason, like, or if your wife has like 6 kids, is it gonna be like Stuartina, Stuart Elva? Like, is it all gonna be like variations of Stuart? Like, you know?
that's just so bad.
Like, Stuet. Like, I don't. Yeah, that's super weird to me. Like, I don't understand. Like, oh no, we can name this one Claudia, and then the next one can be Stuart.
Yeah, or you know, okay, even just naming the girl Stuart is better than Stuart.
honestly, like, just
Like, please,
like, it'll build character. Like, just name her Stewie, but like Stuarta. And he's like, yeah, like, no, that's like a good name. It's really unfortunate. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. It's ridiculous. I don't have like much more to say on this. I just thought it was really funny, and I thought that Stuarta was like the most ridiculous thing I've heard in a really long time. So really wanted to share that with all of you.
Oh, thank you. That was a good one.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. All right. Next story.
Next. Powering through.
So this next one is from r/Am I the Asshole? Our favorites.
Our fave.
Am I the asshole for breaking up with my girlfriend because she's friends with a guy who cheated with her? My girlfriend has this male friend. Let's call him Mike. Mike is recently divorced. The other night, I was hanging out with some of my girlfriend's friends. My girlfriend wasn't there, by the way. One of her friends brought up Mike and how the divorce has been hard on him. Another friend said that it was his own damn fault for sleeping with girlfriend's name. I was like, whoa, what? I asked for more details, and turns out Mike slept with my girlfriend while he was married. His wife found out, and then they divorced. This happened about 1.5 years ago. I've been with my girlfriend for about a year. I talked to my girlfriend the next time I saw her. I took a couple of days to digest the information. I did text her that I needed some time for myself, and I'll talk to her when I'm ready. Next time we meet up, I decided to break up with her. See, she's still close friends with Mike, as they hang out regularly, both group and one-on-one. I wasn't crazy about this, but I figured I should trust my girlfriend. Until now. I realized I was too uncomfortable with their friendship now, as well as the fact that she never mentioned this to me. She asked why, and I told her the truth. I told her I don't like that she's friends with Mike with this new information, and that I wasn't gonna tell her who she can be friends with, but I'm not gonna be a part of this. My girlfriend yelled at me and said that if I asked, she'd stop hanging out with Mike. I still decided to break up, but to be honest, I don't think my girlfriend would take me back even if I changed my mind in that moment. I guess my question is twofold. Am I the asshole for my reason to break up with her, and am I the asshole for not asking her to cut off Mike or giving her a chance to? It's a bit late now, but I would like to know.
There's layers to this one. And I feel like your answer will depend very much on, like, I think it would vary by person. What I will say that I think almost everyone can agree with is, unless if it is like extremely egregious, like she cheated on you, or like really did something like just relationship ending, like I do think deciding to break up with somebody without at least talking to them is a no-go. Like, I think there are two people in this relationship, and you don't necessarily need to make the decision to break up together, but like I think you at least owe a conversation. Not just like, I decided to break up with you. Like, that is like, you were together for a year. Like, really? That's just like that. So that's like vaguely my thoughts on that.
He didn't even give her a chance, really,
Yeah.
to make any future decisions and save the relationship. He just like made up his mind. So I do understand her frustration at him for just making that decision.
Yeah. So then the layers, right? Like, I think I personally, and I said this before when we were talking about Love is Blind, like, depending on the situation, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with my partner being friends with somebody that they had once had a thing with. I think I would have a problem with you being friends with an ex. Like, I think romantic relationship trumps like a one-time, like just like a physical thing. So like I wouldn't have necessarily a problem with my partner having a friend who like they slept with once or kissed once, like literally one time years ago. Not an issue for me. I think the key there is that you've told me up front from the beginning so that I don't look stupid. Because maybe there's things that I wouldn't talk to that friend about, knowing that y'all had like slept together.
Right.
So I think she's definitely in the wrong for not telling him in the first place. But I understand that there's folks who wouldn't be comfortable with that. And so that's why, like, I think that's something that you deserve to know pretty upfront. Maybe not like first date, but like, you know, once the relationship is like getting more serious, like, hey, by the way, like, I'm friends with this person who I had a thing with a year ago. Like, is that cool? Do you want me to not talk to them anymore? I think that's a conversation for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Adding to the layers here.
Yeah.
I have to question her character.
Yes.
That would be the biggest thing to me. It wouldn't even be that, all right, like, she slept with him. It would be, you slept with him while he was married. That's a character flaw to me. And I don't think that was talked about enough. I think I would give her the chance to explain herself. But if her explanation was anything other than, I made a mistake and it was terrible of me to do that, I would not want to stay in that relationship anymore.
Yeah.
Because it kind of shows me what she would feel is okay doing to me.
Yes.
You know, in our relationship. You can't really trust someone like that. But her also, on top of that, keeping a relationship with this guy and keeping that information from her boyfriend is, it's a no-go. It's a no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I strongly agree with that. Like, I think just based on, like, my first response was just based on OP's question of, like, it sounds like the biggest problem for him is just that she's friends with somebody that she slept with. And I'm like, that's a decision that you should have had the information to make early on, but, like, now at least deserves a conversation.
Right.
But for me, the issue here, I would have an issue continuing on in this relationship because she slept with somebody who was married. And, like, it sounds like she knew that. Like, it wasn't something where... It doesn't sound like it was something where she didn't know Mike was married.
Yeah.
So that would definitely give me pause and would make me want to have a serious conversation with you about what the heck went on there.
That's exactly. And the fact that she stayed friends with this guy shows that she didn't really regret it. Because if someone who actually regrets that decision and feels bad about it will not keep that person in their life. I genuinely don't believe that they would do that, because that's like so disrespectful on multiple levels.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's like a friendship ender for sure. I think there are definitely people who have a friend, a long-term friend, who, you know, maybe like a drunken night, they sleep together, and then they're able to like laugh it off and then be like, oh, that was so silly, let's never do that again, and then they can continue being friends.
Yeah.
I think if you do that with somebody who's married or in a serious relationship, or a relationship period, like, I think that's a moment of, you know, drunken night ends, the next day you're like, we should not be friends anymore. That crossed a line. Like, our relationship is done. Like, I think that, like, that would definitely be a no-go.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, ultimately, like, I don't fault him for not wanting to be with her anymore, but I do think a conversation was warranted. Like, honestly, just for closure, maybe that says something about me, but I would not be able to, like, sit on this information and not understand, like, the who, what, where, when, why. Even if we are going to break up, like, I need to know, like, what went on? Like, maybe I'm just a gossip, but I'm like, what?
No,
what happened?
I totally get that. In this kind of situation, that is closure. You're getting information on something that you can't understand with this person that you've been with for a year. I think that's totally fair. The only time I wouldn't need closure and I would straight up go ghost is if I found out that my partner cheated on me. That's the only time where I feel like I'm not going to even entertain a conversation. I would literally just ghost them. I've done it before, and I will absolutely do it again.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's the only situation. Anything else, I think I would talk it through. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't think, like, even if somebody cheated on me, like, it would probably end the relationship, but I feel like I just need to know, like, to a fault, I think. Like, maybe that's something I need to work on, but to a fault, I'm just like, why? I don't understand. Like, tell me, like, what happened? Like, not that you have a good reason, but I just want to know, like, what the hell went through your brain? But, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I can understand that. Yeah, sometimes I just feel like for some things, I don't need to know. I don't need to know because it has nothing to do with me. It's you.
Oh, yeah.
It's a you issue. Figure it out yourself. You know,
that feels that's very healthy. How healthy of you. Yeah.
Aw, yeah. It's like one aspect of my life where I'm actually healthy in it. But okay.
One of at least 3, I think.
Aw. What are the other 2? What are the other 2? Name them. Exactly. Exactly.
Anyway, so we have one more story for all of you today.
Hater. The ones closest to you
3.
are your biggest haters.
It's true. Anyway.
Let's hear your story.
Yes. Okay. So wait, I'm sorry. I can't just like leave that sitting in the air. I do not hate you. I love you very much. I don't want like people listening to this who don't know our relationship. Like we're cool. We get along. I swear.
We're like laughing throughout this whole thing.
I'm just like, just in case. Sometimes I think about that when I'm editing the episode or listening back, and I'm like, we were really mean to each other. Like, I hope people know that we get along.
Wait. Oh my god, you know what would be so interesting? Like a podcast with 2 people that actually hate each other.
Ooh.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
Okay, let's fight and then
No,
keep
not
recording.
us.
Yeah, no, let's do it. I could hate you. I could hate you like that. Cross me one time. I'm here trying to start fights.
The way you're trying to be intimidating. Like, you know, like one of those hamsters. So intimidating.
How rude. How rude.
Like when the hamsters like flinch at you.
Like that?
Like right now.
Thanks. All right. Well, I have one more story. And I promised like several episodes ago that I would slowly start reading some Reddit Hall of Fame stories to Tima. Mm-hmm. I think I only ever read one, which was the carbon monoxide poisoning story. Mm-hmm. So I want to read another one. We're slowly going to get through them. So I was between, for those who know, I was between Poop Knife and this one that I'm going to read now. But I'm choosing this one, and we'll save Poop Knife for another day. Okay, so this story went viral 2 years ago. It was posted and it was all over Reddit. It's a great one of my personal favorites. So this is called Today I Fucked Up. My girlfriend, 20-year-old female of 2 years, told me that the music that I, 25 male, play during sex is weird and a major turnoff. A little backstory. When I first started having sex, I researched into ways to be better, as I was a little stiff and pretty much had no idea what I was doing. I read online that you can play music and match the rhythm in order to put on a better performance. I started searching love-making songs and started slowly creating a playlist in which I was comfortable matching the rhythm. There are a few songs to my playlist. However, there is one song in particular, which actually happens to be my favorite, that my girlfriend hates and says turns her off in a major way. I don't understand why it has taken her 2 years to tell me that she hates that song. It's a good lovemaking song with a good rhythm. I feel the way I fucked up is I could have possibly asked her previously if she likes the playlist or any song she'd like to add or change. But to leave it for 2 years thinking our sex life is great, but in her eyes has just been ruined by my music, has left the whole situation feeling awkward, and I'm a bit annoyed. I pretty much played this tune every single time, so the amount of times she must not have been enjoying it when I thought the complete opposite is annoying, but also embarrassing in ways. Not to mention my previous partners, however, they never complained about the song, so maybe it's just her? It's fucked up the relationship, to be honest, because sex feels awkward now. The other day we were having sex with no music, but I was still thrusting to the tune playing in my head. She recognized this and asked me to stop. I thought this song was perfect, and I always thrust along with the tune and feel that it gives me the perfect rhythm for doing the deed too. I find it devastating that she hates this song. Have you heard this story before?
I think I have.
Do you know the song?
I vaguely remember this.
Do you know the song? Okay, cool. I'll play it for you in a little bit. But first,
Alright.
I'd like just to know your opinion before I do that.
Oh my god. I don't even know. First of all, I don't think anyone's evil here
Yeah.
or anything like that. That's so embarrassing.
It's so embarrassing.
That's so embarrassing. Okay, one thing that caught my attention was that he's been using the song on other people before her, too.
Mm-hmm.
And then my head kind of goes to memories attached to music.
Mm.
You know? Like feelings and memories attached to music.
Oh.
So that kind of makes it a little icky to me, personally.
Gotcha.
Because you're kind of carrying those emotions, those feelings, that energy into this relationship, into these intimate moments. So I thought that was a little weird, but also just...
like if it's a really romantic song and you remember it with your old partner and now... Yeah, for sure.
And it's such an intimate act, too.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it gets a little icky. But also just going off of the main point here.
Mm-hmm.
I would hate that. I would hate it. I think I would be so thrown off if, every time I was...
If you're her.
With my...
Yeah.
Yes, if I was her.
Yeah.
Every time I was intimate with my partner, they were playing the same song. Thrusting to that beat. That was such a turn off.
Even if it's the best song in the world. Even if it's the best song. And the fact that my favorite part of this is that she recognized it even when the song wasn't playing. She recognized the rhythm. That is wild. I do have to question why it took her 2 years to say anything. That's wild.
An awkward thing to bring up. I know.
It is really awkward. But
it is just a very awkward thing to bring up. But
I think it's worse 2 years in.
Oof.
Are you ready to hear the song?
Oh my god, I'm so scared.
Can I get a prediction of what kind of song we think this might be? Genre.
I'm feeling that it's not going to be romantic. I'm feeling it's gonna be like techno beat vibe. But let's see. Let's hear it.
Like, like that kind of, yeah. I'm.
Is that exactly
I do
what it
parties.
is?
I do parties for anyone who's interested. I'm a DJ.
She
and
DJs.
a beatboxer. All right. Well, I'm gonna play this for you now.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just that. It's that for 2 more minutes.
What was this woman enduring?
Can you imagine?
Hold on. What beat specifically? What beat?
I think it was
specifically?
probably.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
This poor soul. I don't know how she did that for 2 years. That is so embarrassing. But I can also see how, like, it's awkward if it's a good song. Like, it's awkward if it's a good song and even that starts to get repetitive.
Yeah.
But this, like, how do you even, like, the first time y'all do it and he puts that song on, you're like, oh, that's a choice. But, you know, I really like him. Like, he's really cute. Like, we can make this work. And then next time you're like, oh, this is okay, all right, maybe he won't do it again. And then the next time, like, I feel like that's, like we were talking about with the other story, like, that's a character flaw at this point. Like, there comes a point where I'm questioning your judgment. Like, I'm like, like, this says something very serious about who you are.
Oh my god. Wait, that's so true. Okay, maybe she didn't really have an issue with it in the beginning. Okay.
How?
There are very unique people.
How? Tell me that that's not a problem.
Okay, well, it wasn't a problem to him.
Yeah.
So I'm
Or
sure
his other partners.
Well,
the fact that that's just like a thing that he is probably like known for in some circles.
oh my
Like,
god.
there's definitely multiple women who've like talked to their friends about this. Like, yeah, I met this really cool guy. There was this song though. And that's just a thing that people know about him. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
I don't know.
So
I don't know.
you're welcome.
People are into interesting things. And,
Yeah.
I feel like you can find a partner who is into the same things that you're into, I guess.
Yeah.
And maybe for a while she was okay with it. Then she started realizing that it was weird as hell.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, after 2 years of torture, she spoke up about it.
Yeah. Probably. So yeah, that's that story. Thank you so much for going on that journey with me. This is why it's the Reddit Hall of Fame for a reason. Like, there are just some stories that really just live in my noggin, and I think about them a lot. And this is one of them. And now you'll join me. Also, I want to make sure that I'm giving credit where credit is due. You know, this artist deserves their due. So that song was called Seabat by Hudson Mohawk. Anyway. No shade to the song. Honestly, it wasn't made for that. particular scenario. I'm sure if someone asked the artist to make a song that got people in the mood, maybe it wouldn't have been that one.
No, but you know what? At least this guy gave him a lot of plays.
That's true. And you know what? This now has, please hold, on YouTube, 9.5 million views.
Yeah,
so
that's a win.
a song was
That's
released
a
12
win.
years ago.
A win.
And
A
all
complete
of
win.
all of the comments, every single one, is of course about this. Every single one. So yeah, I mean that's really good for them.
Yeah. Go Hudson.
Yes.
All right. Well, that was basically the end of today's potty.
Yes.
I hope we ended off on a good note.
Yes.
A sensual note.
I hope you enjoyed. Yeah, we were really like rapid fire assembly line here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm glad that we got to share all of these with you.
Yes.
And I hope you enjoyed listening to us today.
Do you want to tuck them in?
Yeah, let's do it.
The floor is yours, my dear.
Thinking. Well, we wish every single one of you a good night's rest, especially the stewardess out there.
Oh,
Y'all
yeah.
really need it.
Yeah. Yeah, sleep well, stewardess of the world.
Sleep well. We're with you.
Yes. Peace and love. And with that, sleep tight.
And don't let the bed bugs bite.
Don't let the bed buds bleep blarp. Bite.
We're keeping that in. All right, good night, yo.
Bye.